Welcome to The Next Chapter, a show about how to move your life forward and what comes next. I'm your host, Carrie Pena, co-founder of the Center for Positive Media. Hey everyone, I'm Carrie Pena. Thank you so much for being here with us. In studio today, Mike Spangenberg, who's the CEO and co-founder of StateFortyEight, a very well-known and fast-rising apparel brand. Thanks so much for being here.
Of course. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
You founded this in 2013, right?
Correct. Yep.
And wow, you guys have done amazing. What does it feel like to be where you are today, having thought of something from scratch?
Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot. We started 2013, but even 9 years into it, I feel like we still are like just getting started because we were so organic the first 4 or 5 years. But it means the world to us, especially creating a legit organization that's so much more than selling t-shirts and hats. Like, we just want to represent Arizona in a positive and fashionable way. And, you know, our brand message is clothing for all, inspired by Arizona. And that's what we're all about. But it's so cool to see people all over wearing the t-shirts, rocking the decals, and just representing Arizona.
This podcast is all about the next chapter, how people, got to where they are. Sometimes it's been a hard journey. Sometimes it's been a beautiful journey. But I like to talk about what lessons do we learn that take us to the next place. So for you, what has been the most challenging part of being an entrepreneur and coming up with a new concept? Because not everyone buys into it.
Yeah.
When you're like, hey, I'm going to do this whole brand all about Arizona.
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, especially because again, I grew up here, and that was rare. So like starting in 2013, I mean, you have your friends and family and everyone supporting, but it was so cool to see like it latch on quickly to Arizona. Because like when we were starting a business, like what problem are you solving? Well, we were solving a problem of like just representing Arizona positive, fashionable way. But yeah, the journey's been incredible. Learned so many things, a lot of like what not to do, where not to spend money, more to invest into the right people, not try to do it all on your own. And there's so many lessons I've learned along the way, but it's cool. Like every day, I always strive to get better personally and professionally. But it's really cool just to like, I'm that hungry to want to continue to get better. And like how I've realized how much more mature I've become and be able to manage relationships better, especially with partners and such. But there's just always so much to learn.
Was there a point along the way that you're like, man, I just can't do this? It's just too hard, too overwhelming, too much?
Honestly, no. And we get that question often. I think the biggest key to our success is just the consistency and that vision of like, hey, we are going to make an impact in Arizona. But I've never really had that because we've grown year over year, which I'm really proud of. But it's just always because we've been smart about not trying to do too much. And we've also always listened to our community, our customers. They're the ones supporting your dreams. So like, it's not about us, it's about them. So I think we're good at that of making sure, hey, what are our customers telling us? What are numbers? What are sales? And then go off of that.
Now, a lot of people do know about your brand. You have a lot of influencers and athletes and well-known people in Arizona and around the country now wearing your merch. But for folks who aren't familiar, just talk a little bit more about what you wanted to create. Yeah.
And thank you. And I feel like, again, there's a lot of people who still have no idea who we are. And we're the first company in Arizona to ever start any StateFortyEight company, right? The vision behind it was just to, again, represent Arizona in every positive and fashionable way. What is more challenging now than ever is there's 70 plus organizations now with the StateFortyEight branding in there. A lot of people confuse us with the brewery. A lot of people confuse us with StateFortyEight tires. I mean, there's all those different things. But our big vision is just to make an impact in Arizona. We always want to be known for so much more than selling t-shirts and hats. And that was evident of starting a foundation during the pandemic, right when it started. And that's to support aspiring entrepreneurs because we started with $1,500, didn't know what the heck we were doing. I know how to treat people right and grind, but like there's so many people that are now starting businesses more than ever after this pandemic, kind of restarting their life, and we want to help support them. We want to give them those resources, the capital, and not just us, but use our network to do that. So that's what I get really juiced up about, and what tugs at my heart is to be able to like, when you talk to people and working with all these different businesses in the Valley, like they know what we stand for if they know our story. And it's like, we just want to represent our hometown in a positive way. We just want to spread love through t-shirts.
So during the pandemic, you guys thought, wow, let's start a foundation.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it started before that, but it just make total sense for us. Is like, again, how do we add that nonprofit arm? How do we make a bigger difference? Because we've always been about like supporting others. We have so many collaborations where money benefits but like as a for-profit, you could only do so much of that, right? So like it just made all the sense in the world for us to support aspiring entrepreneurs. So we launched it in 2020, and here we are today. We're going to launch our second entrepreneur speaker series where we're giving $25,000 away to aspiring entrepreneurs, because people need that guidance. They need to also realize it's so much harder than what it looks like. Everyone paints this picture of like entrepreneurship's the sexy thing to do, and it's like you better be ready to sacrifice a lot, and you better be super passionate about it, because it's not easy.
And you have to really believe in yourself.
100%.
Because I was listening to, I'm a huge fan of David Goggins, and I was listening to him the other day, and a woman stood up in the audience, asked him a question, and she's like, when you feel beat down, like you can't do it, and, because he does all those ultra marathons, and he's done so much that people told him you can't do it. And he said that he stops whenever he feels that way, and he says, what if? And I thought about that, and I'm like, that is a great phrase to repeat to yourself over and over, is what if I make this happen? What if? And it's pushing you forward.
I love that.
And from an entrepreneurial standpoint, because I think you're so right, it is made out like it's this sexy, fun, let's hit the grind, but it's hard.
We're going to make millions after day one. It's not that.
Why do you think that it's really important for you now, as someone who's found success? You worked for it. Nothing came easy for you. You had $1,500.
Amen.
And you went out there and you hustled, and you also have given back substantially along the way. But why is it important for you to pay it forward?
Yeah, I mean, this is my purpose in life, not to be corny. Like StateFortyEight is everything I've ever wanted. Like I'm living the dream. I always joke about that and say that, but like that's what makes it all easy. In business, you want to work with people you like, you trust. Like just be good people. The world needs that more than ever. More laughter, more like fun. Like that's what tugs at my heart and what makes StateFortyEight what it is today, because it is so much more than just pushing products down your throat. Of course, like that's what helps sustain the business and allows you to do these important things. But that's always like what I know I've been put on this planet to do, is to make a difference. And that's through our company.
I read an article and you were quoted, and it said, I was born to do something good. Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, as a young kid, I mean, even go back to school shopping was my favorite thing about school. My mom will vouch for that. I always used to lay out my outfits, but I just like always had it, and that's no BS. Like I always knew in back of my mind that I was put on this planet to create something, and I always had that vision. So when your question was like, did you ever have doubt or think it wasn't going to work? Of course, you have those hard days, but like I really feel so confident more than ever too of what we're doing.
What brings you the most joy?
I love that question. Seeing something actually work, like, launching a new design or a campaign. But I'd say the biggest part is seeing our team grow, adding people, like great talented people, because we're nothing without our team. And I'm so proud of where we're at today, and just seeing like the empowerment, that's given to everyone, and like allowing them to kind of flourish. But yeah, seeing the team to grow has been very exciting. And just, again, when you're out and about in the community and talking to these partners, and like they always have, like they're thanking us. Like we hosted a partner event at the beginning of the year, just thanking everyone who's worked with us, because we do a lot of B2B stuff, and they're over here thanking us for like they're spending their hard-earned money and their dollars on marketing dollars with us on co-branded designs, and they're thanking us for what we do. And that's like, we hear that all the time, and that's what is so exciting and what really, again, gets me jacked up and motivated.
Now, you always have seemed to me, and still today, even in spite of the success that you've found and have been blessed to continue to see, but you remain humble. And so, is this a conscious effort to keep your ego in check?
I mean, that's easy for me. I'm definitely never going to be thinking I'm the shit or anything like that, right? Like I kudos to my parents for how they raised me, but like that's just how I'm wired. Like I always want to improve. I know I'm not the smartest person in the room. I always want to be better, and I just know we have a long way to go. So that's just genuine me, and that's why I always will. And what I've learned too over the years, a big lesson is like, you can't expect, because it can be frustrating as a leader in any organization, is like you can't expect anyone to work as hard as you. So like they don't have those same benefits and such, right? So like I continue to, like, that's where I like bank on my work ethic, and I just like leading by example. But yeah, I'm always going to be the same person.
Tell us a little bit about your daily practice. What things do you do that benefit you in your growth as a human being and as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, first and foremost, we hear it more often. It's the simple things of getting more and more sleep. Starting the day off with a sweat. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at least. I work out in the morning. I go for a walk if it's not too hot. I listen to a podcast. That's what I hear it more and more, and it's really helped me having a good meal before going in the office. So you actually feel like, hey, I'm ready to tackle things. You're not like running behind and that kind of stuff. But those are a couple of things that really like start my day off right. And then always my daily to-do list. Of course, you have your big, if you're in my office, there's many whiteboards and such, but like the daily to-do list really keeps me accountable and really keeps me on track, because we all know like our days can go 360 a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I read also in an article that you were talking about some of the podcasts that you like to listen to, and one was you were referencing a meditation podcast. So is meditation a big part of your routine?
My Mindset Mentor and Business Made Simple are like my top favorite podcasts.
Yeah.
And it's just a good reminder, especially if you're having a hard day. It's just like, life is really that simple. Like you just got to keep going, like stay positive, especially when you start thinking any negative thoughts, it's like, be grateful for everything you already have in your life. And if I could be guilty of like always, what's the next 10 things to do, right? That's kind of my responsibility, but not like, I've realized that more and more this last year or two of like, just be grateful for everything that's happening now and like really celebrate those wins along the way. But it could be hard though, because like you do need it as a leader in the company. You have to know what are the next 10 things to do to make sure your business stays sustainable. But Mindset Mentor and Business Made Simple, I get so many takeaways from those two every day.
Let's dig into this for a second about this attitude of gratitude, if you will. It's you're being genuine in saying that that's how you live your life, but that is really challenging for a lot of people. Life, especially right now, coming out of COVID or wherever we are in this cycle, I have just been saddened by a lot of the reporting I've done and how anxious and depressed and worried and hopeless people feel. And it is hard to watch people go through that and not be able to find just the simplicity in the joys and the beauty of life. What kind of advice do you give to people about kind of just being able to have gratitude for where we are and whatever we're accomplishing in that moment? Yeah,
no, like you said, it breaks my heart too. And like, I even find myself like, mindful of like not even like celebrating something. Like sometimes you celebrate the wins too much, or like even personally, like you're showing you're on vacation, like almost can come across like, oh, look at me, or like this. And when people are struggling with much bigger problems, but I kind of like find myself, lately realizing too, it's like, hey, more and more people need to see that. And I think realize like, you got to work for it. Like, I mean, we're all dealing with, stuff every day. Sure. Some people are doing much worse things, but like things aren't just going to happen if you're not doing anything about it. And I'm always going to realize that like, hey, everything that we've, gained success, we've earned our success because all the hard work we put into it. So I think a lot of it is just being kind of like being very blunt and transparent. I'm like, hey, if you want to change something in your life, or you want to do something, like go for it, like do it, put it out there. Like no one's gonna, like, you can't feel sorry for yourself forever. I mean, it sucks when so many people have these situations that are outside of their control, but I think a lot of that is really all, we all control our own destiny, in my opinion. Don't bank on politics, don't bank on this, don't bank on that. Like go for what you want to do in life. And again, easier said than done, but I think with the pandemic, if anything, it's allowed people to reset their life and kind of do things they wish they would have done, and give them that opportunity to kind of start over. So I don't know, I'm no expert, but I think just kind of going for it and realizing like you control your own destiny. You got to work for it. If money's tight, go get a second job. Go, like I worked my butt off for the first 5 years, not anymore, but like the first 3 years in the business, we were working all full-time jobs. Like this didn't come easy, and it still isn't easy, but I think you just got to work for it.
And I really think too, there's something to, if you have a vision, like start today.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we were just talking about Gary Vee earlier, and it's like, go for it. Like, you can't, we're all guilty of it. Like, we're trying to perfect everything. But like, I mean, I reflect on our journey when we first started. Like, oh my God, why did we sell that shirt? Why did we do this? Why did we do that? But like that taught us like what not to do, and also like gave us like real feedback from customers of like what they like, what they don't like. But if we would have waited, many years to like, oh, wait for the perfect collection or like, the idea or stuff, like there probably been other State 48 companies. So
Yes.
I think it's just, going for it and putting it out there, and then always constantly improving. And then people respect that much more.
So as an entrepreneur, when you had this idea, because I'm always fascinated by this, people have an idea, right? And you think, God, it sounds like a good idea to me. Right.
Yeah.
but how do you know, and for you, were you like, yeah, man, we got to just push. I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. You can't sit and focus group 20 people because everyone's going to tell you something different.
And it's funny you say that, because if you were to have my partners at the time in the room, they'd be like, Mike always wanted to go. I'm like, yeah, that, and they thank me for that, now, because like you got to put stuff out there. But yeah, I think way too many people are holding on to that idea. But to answer your question, when we would tell people State 48, like it was that aha moment. Oh my God. And especially when we show people the logo, they're like, oh my God. And you also have to be mindful of like, sure, you're initially gonna ask your friends, your family, your significant others, and they're all gonna be supportive. You really need like those outsiders that have no attachment to you, and if they're all like buying in and like getting excited, not just like, oh, that's cool, but like they got to get it right away. And that was our aha moment of like, first the name was perfect, and then the logo ended up being perfect, and then so many people got excited about it, people we didn't know. And you really need those like honest opinions. So that was what worked for us, is just, okay, let's put it out there in the universe.
What moment has been that moment of you're like, oh my God, I can't believe, so-and-so's wearing my shirt, or where that you're just...
I would say the moment, I mean, our first big partnership with Bruce Arians, and they're still like family today, is
He's
always
so cool.
going to the best. And like Jake Arians, president of their foundation, his son's like a great friend of mine, still lives in Chandler. Like that's always gave us so much credibility. And now it like really structured our collaborations, because $5 per shirt went back to the Arians Family Foundation, which helped neglected children. So a lot of our shirts are more about creating awareness and funds for organizations. That's what we're all about. But I would say the biggest like reward so far is being awarded this license plate deal, that it's been a vision of mine for 5+ years, and it's always just kind of been like a huge dream, and then be able to actually like have it all come to fruition is just like, oh my God, like this is real, this is cool. And so I can't wait to be able to launch that this year.
So statewide license plate.
Yep. Yeah.
With
So
your
State
logo.
48 license plate coming soon, probably in November.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah,
So
thank
you're
you.
expanding your operations. You've got a nonprofit foundation that supports rising entrepreneurs, and you're soon to have your own State 48 license plate. So when you look at those things, you've checked a lot of boxes. Where do you go next?
Yeah, so our growth strategy, our vision is to open up more doors. People still love to shop in person, touch it, feel it. So being strategic, having it in more, pockets of the valley, and then just really like continue to expand out there. We're going to launch a podcast, and I know everyone has a podcast, but our thing is like, we need to be able to articulate. And I don't know if you're familiar or had a relationship with Lisa Matthews, who used to be with the Cardinals, amazing human. She's going to come on board to lead that up for us. But we need to be able to articulate so much more about our business. And, social's changing, videos are everything now, right? So our strategy is more of just providing that knowledge of like an experience of our collaborations and our B2B services and our foundation and entrepreneurship, and just sharing that journey. That's what our community loves about us, is like, celebrating those, like seeing those wins behind the scenes stuff. So I'm pumped to get that going, just to be able to add a different element to like kind of our strategy of just letting people inside and educating them on who we are.
Well, you're talking to someone who left local news to build an entire company based on content creation. Yeah. So you're speaking my language, and no one can tell your story better than you.
Yeah.
And your story is one of true inspiration, grit, hard work, but also heart.
Yep.
And that's kind of where I want to wrap things up with you, Mike. I mean, how important is it for you, and speak to the audience here about, you're achieving success, you're making money, and you're got a high profile brand, But how important is it for you to keep that heart at the center of what you're doing?
100%. And you can't fake that stuff too. Like, this is who I am. Like, if my mom would probably be crying, like, listening to this, right? But that's just like how I was raised, and that's who I am. And I'm never satisfied, and that could be a blessing and a curse. But like that, always like, hey, keep pushing. But yeah, the fact that we set ourselves apart from just being, we're not that, trendy, I mean, sure. Yeah. We're part of that, that industry of a trendy t-shirt brand, but like, we're not a Supreme. People aren't lining up the doors to buy our next drop. Like, people love StateFortyEight because what we stand for, and that's being involved in community, supporting others, supporting everyone. And that's what I take a lot of pride in, is being unique, because it's getting harder and harder to, reach your audience, to sell products, and there's more and more competition coming. But like, where we will always set ourselves apart is just that the relationship, that it means everything to us. Every dollar that's spent with us like means the world to us. And we try to articulate that in every possible way. So just being unique and making it more about just selling products. So
you've talked several times, you mentioned your mom. So shout out to mom. Good mom. Parents you have.
Dad too, obviously. He's just not a talker like me.
But is it faith? What is it that drives that?
Yeah, I'm not big into faith. I mean, I obviously believe in it, but like, I don't know. It's just like my mindset's like always positive, and people like, of course you have your bad days, but I'm like, most times when people say, how's your day going? I'm like, living the dream. And I genuinely mean that. Like, I'm so grateful to be doing what I love and get to work with all these great people that I have fun with and joke around with. And, life's too short to be, and I think so many people can relate to that. And that's what's so cool about our foundation, is supporting, hey, go for it. But like, also here's that, that help and the motivation and the tips and resources to make sure it's sustainable to go for it. Because like, we all know, like, life's so precious. Like, we could be gone tomorrow. Like, are you going to like put that post out there you want, go on that vacation you want, like, work, shoot for the stars.
Have fun.
Yeah. Like, I think it's way too serious, and the world can be way too negative right now. And I've always been against that. So like, I try to like, make my imprint of just like always being that positive dude and just spreading love. And it's no fake. I'm not faking it.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever have days where you're like, that it's like cloudy and you got to turn it around? And how do you do it? What do you do to turn it?
Whether you go for a walk or like that Mindset Mentor podcast really helped me. Dre on our team, turned me on to that. And I think, I can easily get, stuck in a day where I'm like, I seem like a grouch, or I got like this thing I'm dealing with. And you could show that stress, and I'm guilty of that for sure. But it's just like, all right, reel it back in. Like, look what you're doing. Look at like, is it really that bad, right? Like, where it's like first world problems of things we have to deal with every day, so I think just putting that in perspective, I think helps me a lot sometimes. But again, I'm no expert. I'm still figuring out, I'm still growing as a person, but I'm really proud to see my personal and professional growth, especially this last like year or two.
Yeah. And I want you to fill in this sentence for me. Your next chapter is
epic.
I love it. I love your pink hat too, because I just watched the Machine Gun Kelly documentary.
Did you? So did I.
And it was so good.
Did you go to his concert?
I have not been to his concert, but I learned a lot more about him as an artist, and I thought the documentary was really interesting. And so I'm digging the pink hat.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much for being here, and just congratulations.
Appreciate it. You
Much
too.
Much love to you guys. I'm so happy to see you guys repping Arizona and doing it in such a heart-centric way.
Thank you so much.
And for folks who might be listening and watching, outside of StateFortyEight, where can they find out more about all the stuff you're doing?
StateFortyEight.com, all spelled out. That's all our social channels. That's everything we have going on, our foundation, everything. Anything about StateFortyEight you can find on our website.
Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for listening and watching. I'm Carrie Pena.